Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Glenn Tan speaking. This time, I'm continuing to talk about our latest UMatch. For identification, I will call it UMatch 6 or UMatch LNS. And this presentation is based on EU market. For the other area, you can take it as your reference. This presentation divides into these 5 parts. I have put the corresponding video linkage at the below description area just for your convenience.
Controllers.
This slide displays the summary of all available controllers for UMatch 6 or UMatch LNS. We have the wired controller, these 3 wireless remote controller, and actually we have lots of the option, and here is the receiving plate. For the linkage controller is this one, joy contactor. This is Wi-Fi module, and also we have this central controller. You can not only the UMatch but also the FreeMatch, RAC, water heater, and even the GMV. It can also central control. And here is the drone controller. This table is the summary of this wired controller. This XE7A is the standard one. It can group control the UMatch, and it is also compatible with VRF. And here is the part code. And if this one has a C at last, that means beside the standard function, it has another Wi-Fi function, which means you can control from your smartphone. And this is the high end. It can individual control of the cassette type, the louver, how it swing. Also, it has the multi-timers and readable setting and parameter, which means not like the standard one, you need to memorize the codes for different functions and parameter. We will display the functions and the parameter directly on the screen. This LE60, it is an adapter between the KeyCard device and the joy contactor. And the joy contactor, this one, you can connect to the fresh air damper to control, and also we offer the other functions. Damp-proof wired controller. We apply 3 layers to seal and damp-proof, which is 2-layer sealing plus 1 O-ring. This one, and it is a touch button, and the protective glue for PCB circuit board. Higher setting temperature up to 0.5 degrees. Wi-Fi control. For this one is you can control the UMatch from your smartphone. And how to achieve it is you need to apply this wired controller with Wi-Fi function or this Wi-Fi module. And just with your home wireless router, then you can do the communication or do the control from your smartphone when you're at home, or even you are not at home, you can get through this internet to do the communication with this one, which is to control the UMatch. And what you can do is you can monitor remote control or to turn on in advanced and adjust the setting at any time.
Drone control system. This one is similar to VAV, short for Variable Air Flow System. And here is how it operates. For example, this is an apartment. There are some rooms, and it already installed the UMatch with the duct tie, and here is the air ducting. So for every room, there is an air damper to control whether this room require the cooling load, which means if we require cooling, basically we will turn on this air damper and then we can get the air, or we can get the capacity from the duct tie. And for this one, there is a additional, this is the RF, short for radio frequency remote controller. With this one, it is wireless. And then this one is the drone control device. You need to connect to the duct tie in dock unit. And then here is the air damper. Also need to connect to this controller. The wire, it is 24 volt AC. And this is the control interface, this controller. And then also need to connect to this one. And then first we need to register this RF remote controller to this one, and then also to make the commissioning, which means to build up the relationship between the RF remote controller and the air damper to make it as 1-to-1. Then you can control the air damper. When it requires the cooling, you can turn on the air damper to introduce the air to it. And also you can pick a different setting temperature, which means we can certify LV rooms for the temperature requirement, even they are different. And besides, you can link or do the wiring to this Wi-Fi module. Then you can use your smartphone to control the drone control system for LV rooms or for LV setting is available. For more detail, you can go to my UMatch controller. There is how to do the wiring and how to do the setting. There is some detail on that.
For the big capacity UMatch, there is always a problem, which is in these pictures you can find it. This is the cassette tie. For example, it is 14 or even 16 kilowatt. For the capacity for this room is okay, it's quite enough. However, it relates to this room, right, which is close to this indoor unit. Or of course it will cool down, but far away from it, it will still warm or even hot, which is the temperature uneven. And to make the temperature to be even, we need to higher the indoor fan RPM, right? And also higher indoor fan RPM also leads to the big noise. And our solution, it is that first we can make this one to divide into this small size or small capacity indoor unit, and also connect with the same outdoor unit. And for this part, our last generation, which is UMatch 5, we need to apply this one. It's an adapter which is to synchronize control of all the connected indoor units. But for the UMatch 6 or UMatch LNS, we just need to apply this wider controller. Then we can control all the indoor unit with one touch. Actually, it is a group control. And also you can find it is similar to the VRF, right? But the control is not the same because we need to make all the indoor unit. It should be completely the same because there is no EXV inside to ensure the refrigerant can divide it evenly. Only the on-off of this. And also for this one, you need to ensure all the heat exchanger and also all the heat exchange, it should be similar or even the same. And for this one, we can only achieve by the same indoor unit. And when we achieve it, you can find it, we can make the temperature to be even and with lower the fan speed also okay. And the solution number 2 is we can divide into different UMatch system just like this, and also with one wired controller to group control this, for example, this 4. And for the last generation, you need to apply this central controller to control, just like this. Controller C52. It is 7-inch touch screen. And how to do the wiring to the UMatch? It is that on this case, in this apartment, there are these 4 in-dock units, or the 4 UMatch, with the standard and also the high-end model. And just like what I had introduced, for the standard, we need to apply this ME50 as an adapter to output the Modbus. And for the high-end or even the wall-mounted, it is automatically or standard with the Modbus. So we can make this to connect series together, then connect to the central controller. Then with this one, we can control, in this case, this 4. Actually, max we can support up to 36 in-dock units. And just don't forget the match resistor. Not only the UMatch, but also the FreeMatch, RAC, rooftop, it can support connect on this bus. Besides, also the VRF, we can control from this wide this central controller. And from here, we can individually control the in-dock unit, or you can make a group control of the connected in-dock units. And we offer you the shield and the block setting from the wire controller, which is to block the setting from the wire controller, not allowed to set.
This slide displays how to do the wiring to building management system. On this picture, you can find that they are the same as the central controller, which means from the in-dock unit, we need to output the Modbus protocol. For standard model, you need to apply the ME50 as an adapter. For the high-end model or the wall-mounted, you just need to connect to the in-dock unit PCB, then series connected together. And from here, depending on your BNS system, if the protocol is Modbus, you just need the RS485 converter. For this one, we provide you the ME40. The output is USB, or the GDO2 output RS232. As for the BedMet protocol, you need to apply this ME30. Then we can change the protocol from here, the Modbus, to here, the BedNet. Then also you can use this third-party BNS to turn on or turn off the UMatch, change the mood, change the fan speed, change the setting temperature, also to set the shield or block setting from the wireless or wire controller.
That's all for this presentation. If you still have any other question, just feel free to contact me on my personal email address. Hasta la próxima!